True Peace Kings. It is August 24th, 2020, and I am back at y'all with another one. And if you trying to stay ahead of the game, you should subscribe to Peep the Slang. UnifyID gait recognition API provides passive behavioral biometric capabilities for mobile developers. Say, man, that's the headline. Peep the Slang. UnifyID has launched a behavioral biometric authentication capability for mobile devices based on gait recognition to provide frictionless security for developers to deploy in a wide range of applications. Asked about the difference between UnifyID and other behavioral biometric authentication technologies on the market, the company's founder and CEO, John Whaley, told Biometric Update in an email interview that collecting and processing information passively in the background provides a huge advantage. Even before you interact with the service, we already know it is you with high confidence, which means the behavioral signals are strong enough to use for authentication, not just detecting anomalies after the fact. Whaley writes, passive background collection also solves the enrollment challenge with most behavioral biometric systems, that is, how to collect enough samples from a user to build a reliable model of the user's behavior. Other solutions may claim one-shot enrollment. That is a lie. You need much more data to build a robust and accurate model of user behavior. Gait Auth is offered to developers as a way to provide authentication, which the company says is comparable to fingerprint biometrics in strength, running in the background on the user's mobile device. In this way, Gait Auth turns the device into an authentication key with behavioral biometrics to enable integration with access control systems as a way of providing the identification of confidence without asking people to remove masks for facial recognition or gloves for fingerprints. The data from smartphone sensors can uniquely identify individuals and tell genuine users apart from bots, the company says. The main use cases the company expects is to be used for include physical access controls such as for doors or vehicles as an additional passive factor in multi-factor authentication processes, device authentication, and access to secure apps. According to Whaley, Gait Auth can also be used to provide strong biometric authentication for lower-end devices without native biometric capabilities and in risk and fraud solutions to identify account takeover events and duplicate or shared accounts. But how comfortable are users going to be with gait recognition? Gait-based authentication is not as well known as other biometrics like face or fingerprint, but it has robust science and peer-reviewed research behind it, Whaley answers. Regarding the notion of whether users want implicit authentication, the general trend is to reduce the friction associated with security and authentication. He cites the transition in smartphone unlocking and notes that users consistently reject even the most minimal step to add security. The second point is by a factor being completely passive, it makes it much easier to layer on security and build an adaptive system. Whaley continues, there may be cases where it is important to maintain the ritual of authentication, for example, entering a PIN or signal your name. These add a modicum of security and are mostly symbolic, whereas the real authentication is happening in the background, and nobody likes passwords or SMS OTP codes or KBA questions. Those forms of authentication would not be missed by anyone, users, product managers, or security professionals. UnifyID has produced a short video to show how the technology works in action. The API is now available through the company's developer portal.
In a world where everyone is wearing masks and gloves, typical biometrics such as fingerprint and face recognition are no longer practical on their own. Leveraging advanced machine learning and motion sensors, Gait Auth can identify users with accuracy that rivals a physical fingerprint, just based on the way they walk. See how Gait Auth leverages the smartphone as an authenticated key that recognizes an individual and unlocks the door.
As a user, Gait Auth lowers friction because it runs in the background. Gait Auth is a cost-effective, efficient solution that strengthens security and protects data privacy.
Visit our developer portal and blog to learn more.